We love Iowa winter. I can see my breath in the car right now. Welcome back to BG Game Preview. I'm your host, Lucy Eisenbarth. And last week, a lot of the games got canceled. We did triple predictions, one of them being Lake Mills, which is postponed until January, and Coon Rapids Bayard canceling their game. The Garrigan girls still did have two games last week, one versus Eagle Grove and one versus Valley, which we'll hit recap rewinds on, before looking to the three games this week for both girls and boys. Make sure to like, subscribe, comment down below your predictions for these games if you agree with mine and anything else you want to see from the channel. I'd also like to give a huge thank you to you guys for all the support on 3 and 30. I uploaded the Emmy Bartolo 3 and 30 yesterday because I was late getting it on YouTube. It's always on Instagram, usually earlier. So if you want to see it early, go check out my Instagram at BG Game Preview. But the video on YouTube last night hit 1,000 views, and then this morning had another 500 views on it, so I want to thank you guys for the support on 3 and 30. It's probably my favorite part of BG Game Previews, interviewing the athletes that play for Garrigan. Without further ado, let's get right into the last week's recaps, before looking at the three games this week. We're going to start off this video with the Garrigan girls' 93-22 win versus Eagle Grove at Eagle Grove. Garrigan really just won this game dominantly. There's not a whole lot of notes. It was 23-7 after the first quarter, and going into halftime, it was 27-15. Garrigan would go on to score 23 in quarter 3 and 23 in quarter 4 to give them their 93 victory. Eagle Grove does not have any stats in this game, but we're going to look at Garrigan stats for this game. Leading points is sophomore Addie Ferris with 18, going 7 from 11 from the field and 3 from 5 from 3, with 1 for 2 on her free throws. Next is Seisha Alish, a senior, with 17 points, 8 for 14 from the field and 1 for 4 from 3. Rounding out the points list is Graceland Eastman, a junior, with 14 points and going 7 from 11 from the field. Leader in rebounds was junior Graceland Eastman with 9 rebounds, 1 block, and 6 steals. Second in rebounds was senior Ava Rothler with 5 rebounds and 1 block. Rounding out the rebound stat is Lillian Erpelding-Wickman, a sophomore, with 4 rebounds, 1 block, and 1 steal. Leading assist is Seisha Alish with 4 assists to 2 turnovers for a 2 ratio. Next on the list is Emmy Bartolo, a senior, with 4 assists to 2 turnovers for a 2 ratio. And rounding out the list is sophomore Addie Ferris yet again with 4 assists to 2 turnovers for a 2 assist to turnover ratio. Garrigan really was just shooting amazing in this game. 50% field goal percentage, 30% from 3. Very effective overall, lots of threes. Addie Ferris, coming off the bench, had really good minutes, was just really getting buckets that night. Seisha Alish also really helpful in the point stat for this team. Also leading assists. She was able to dish it out and get some of her own buckets. Same with Addie Ferris, both leading points and third on the assist list. Graceland Eastman getting boards, getting buckets. It's just what she usually does. Ava Rothler really making an impact on rebounds and overall on the defensive end of the ball. Lily Wickman getting rebounds. This is the first time I've seen her on a game leaders chart this year. And 4 rebounds, 1 block, 1 steal. Played some good minutes for Garrigan towards the end of the game and helped in this win. Amy Bartolo also dishing it out with the assists. Overall, just a really dominantly won game from Garrigan. Eagle Grove kind of struggled versus Garrigan's offense and really struggled with the turnovers. We had some really good fast breaks and was just a really well-played game from Garrigan. Next, we're going to do the only boys recap from last week, as they only had 1 game. So we're going to recap their 64-51 win versus Eagle Grove as well. It was tied after the first quarter, and it was tied going into halftime at 24-24. Garrigan would go on to outscore Eagle Grove 18-13 in the third quarter and 22-14 in the fourth quarter to get them their 64-51 dub. Garrigan does have stats for this game, so we're going to cover those. Leader in points for this game was senior Carter Schwab with 18 points, 8 from 17 from the field, and 2 for 5 from 3. Next is Amari Thomas with 17 points, 6 from 8 from the field, and 5 from 9 from the free throw line. Finally, rounding out points is Michael Joyce Jr. with 14 points, 4 for 2 from the field, and 6 from 8 from the free throw line. Leader in rebounds is Amari Thomas with 13 rebounds to 3 blocks. Next is Tate Firth with 8 rebounds, 1 block, and 1 steal. And finally, freshman Jack Muller had 4 rebounds and 1 block in the game. Leader in assists is Tate Firth with 5 assists to 2 turnovers for a 2.5 ratio. Carter Schwab, a senior, leads the list next. Carter Schwab is second on the list with 5 turnovers 5 assists to 2 turnovers for, again, a 2.5 ratio. And finally, rounding out the list is Junior Michael Joyce with 4 assists to 5 turnovers for a 0.8 ratio. For the sake of time, I'm not going to go through all 3 for each category for Eagle Grove. I'm just going to look at the top. So, Junior Aiden Whipple had 18 points, 5 from 25 from the field, 2 from 10 from 3, and 2 for 4 from the free throw line. Leader in rebounds for the Eagles was Gavin Peterson, a junior, with 9 rebounds, and leading assist is Adrian Whipple yet again with 3 assists to 3 turnovers for a 1 assist to turnover ratio. This game was really close in the first half, again going into halftime tied, and I think Garrigan came out of halftime and really just put the pedal to the metal and really was just able to get it done both offensively and with shutting down Eagle Grove. Less mistakes in the second half from Garrigan, I do believe, which led them to this 13-point victory. I was not able to watch the second half of this game, but I did watch the first half, and it was very close and very competitive. Overall, a great win from Garrigan to push them to 2-1 on the season. For our final recap rewind, we're going to jump back to the girls basketball team. We're going to cover their loss 59-50 versus West Des Moines Valley. This game was so electric. It was such a fun game to watch. I'm really happy I was able to be on the bench. If you don't know, I'm one of the girls basketball managers. It was so fun to be on the bench. Really an electric game, and overall Garrigan could not get it done. They kept it really close. They gave Valley a really good run for their money. Garrigan does not have their stats in for bound yet, but I do know that leader in points was Madeline Tegas. I believe she had 25. She had an amazing game. If they guarded Graceland Eastman, it just opened more opportunities for her. She was driving in, getting buckets. She was really able to do a lot. She had like 2 or 3 and 1s on the day. Garrigan was scheduled to play Coon Rapids Bayard in the morning at 10 a.m. That never ended up happening as Coon Rapids canceled, so Garrigan was able to find an opponent, the Valley Tigers. Valley is ranked number 5 in 5A, and Valley is a contender for the title every year. They're always at the well, always in the semifinals usually, and overall, they're an amazing team. Leaders in stats for Valley, Carrie Rose, a senior who I believe won player of the game, had 16 points, shooting 6 from 14 from the field and 4 from 8 from 3. Leader in rebounds was Bele Utov. I apologize if I did not pronounce that correctly. A junior with 8 rebounds, 1 block, and 3 steals. And leader in assists was Jenna Fuller, a sophomore, with 4 assists to 3 turnovers for a 1.3 assist to turnover ratio. It's very hard, as you see in different classes and different teams play the game differently. Valley has a very interesting offensive scheme. All they do is shoot 3. We were watching warm-ups, and they shot 3s for 10 minutes, went back to the locker room, came out, and just started shooting more 3s. That is Valley's specialty, is shooting 3s. They don't drive into the lane very much. When they do, it's usually a fake, and they kick it back out for a 3. It was very interesting to see the different play style when comparing Garrigan to Valley. You don't see a 1A school play a 5A school very much. That rarely happens. It only happens in certain circumstances like this. This was the Hardwood Classic at Iowa Central, which is a showcase for some of the best basketball teams in the state. This overall was a really electric game. There were a lot of really clean plays from Garrigan. Valley hit some really nice 3s. It was so fun to watch. I can't reiterate that enough. Garrigan only losing by 9 here really reflects the type of team that Garrigan is and how well that they could perform in 1A. There's a very positive outlook for this team. Though Valley picked up the win, I do think this reflects Garrigan in a positive light because this really pushed Garrigan. Valley runs the floor a lot. After every basket by Garrigan or every turnover, they always have 2 girls immediately running down the floor to go be on the wings or in the corner for 3s, and you really had to be on your game. You had to be hustling back to stop them. This was a really well-played game by Garrigan, though they could not get the win in here. This will push Garrigan to 3-1 on the season, and Valley will move up to 4-2. After all the recap rewinds, we are going to look at Garrigan's games this week, starting off with the game this Tuesday versus Garner. Garner walks into this game 5-1. This game will be played at home for Garrigan. We're going to look at how Garner got here. Looking at the last 5 games from Garner, Garner has a win versus Wake Forest, 44-34, a loss 57-39 versus Forest City, a win 42-30 versus West Hancock, a win 59-23 versus Belmont, and a win 78-9 versus the Clarion Goldfield Dows. Looking at stats for Garner, the leader in points for them is senior Isabella Shizzle, averaging 19 points per game and having a 46.5 field goal percentage. Leader in rebounds for the Cardinals is sophomore Hannah Wieskamp, averaging 6.7 rebounds per game. And finally, leader in assists is Isabella Shizzle yet again with 3.3 assists to 3.8 turnovers for a 0.9 assist-to-turnover ratio average this far this season. This game for Garrigan is going to be one of the tougher 1A matchups they'll have all year, and I do think it'll be the toughest 1A matchup this season. I do think that Valley might have been their hardest game of the year, at least until the Well. The Well will have some challenging games for Garrigan, but Valley still might be a harder team to play than them. I think Garrigan will be ready for this game. I do think that they will want the win really badly, especially after the loss. They're going to want to get the win streak going again. They're going to want this one really badly. Garner seems to be similar to Valley in the sense that most of their players are guards. They do like to get some easy layups, though. Isabella Shizzle, only 5'3", averaging 19 points a game. She seems to be a shooter, able to make some mid-rangers, and really just able to be an efficient scorer for Garner. They've got some really good, really efficient scores for this team that Garrigan will need to lock down on. It'll be a very big defensive switch for Garrigan as they were really guarding threes versus Valley, and now they will be guarding that mid-range shot and some of those layups defending the lane. Overall, for Garner, I think their keys to the game will be stopping Gracelyn Eastman. Gracelyn Eastman has been generating a lot of points, but if you guard her too much, you'll just create opportunities for those other girls. Like we saw versus Valley, Madeline Tiggis had 25 points. They locked down on Gracelyn Eastman, created more opportunities for Madeline. 3-pointers, I think, will be something that we will see again from Garrigan in this game. Didn't shoot very many threes or make many threes versus Valley, but I do think that aspect to Garrigan's offense will be coming back, and I do think that it will be back better than ever, and that will be a huge factor again. There's so many players that you just have to stop on Garrigan that you really need to be efficient as a team, and you really need to have your 5 best defensive players out there to stop Garrigan. Looking at some other things for Garrigan in this game, I do think they're going to win this one. I think the pieces are going to fall together for Garrigan, and Garner won't be able to stop them. Something that Garrigan doesn't get a lot of compliments on is their ball movement. Garrigan's got very, very effective ball movement, which it really helps them in the long run. That's why every game, each leader in each stat is different. Leader in points is always different. Leader in rebounds is always different. Garrigan's ball movement is very, very, very efficient, and they don't get complimented on it enough. They move the ball really well, and they were really able to just get it to the person down below or kick it out to the person on the wing, which makes them such a great team. I'm going to take Garrigan to win this one 67-48. I do think that Garrigan is going to get the dub in this game, and I do think that it is really just going to be a matter of ball movement and them being able to avoid turnovers. Garner does seem to force a good amount of turnovers. I do think that they will be a tough opponent, but in the long run, Garrigan will get the win 67-48. Looking at the guys' prediction for their game versus Garner, leader in points for Garner walks into this game 2-4 their last 5. A win 65-55 versus West Fork. A loss 62-39 versus Forest City. A loss 58-50 versus West Hancock. A loss 83-46 versus Belmont. And a loss 59-49 versus Clarion Goldfield Dows. Garner kind of coming in on a losing streak. Might not have a lot of momentum in this game. Might not be able to do a lot. Looking at stats for them, leader in points is Preston Davidson, a sophomore, with averaging 16 points per game. Leader in rebounds is Brighton Cross, a senior, with averaging 5.5 rebounds per game. And leader in assists is Brighton Cross again, with 3 assists to 3.8 turnovers. Looking at this Garner team, it seems they turn the ball over a lot. They've got 112 turnovers on the season so far compared to Garrigan's 50. They're only 6 games into the season. They seem to not be so much of a scoring team, but they seem to maybe be struggling right now a little bit. Like I said, 2-4 record, 0-4 in the last 4. 112 turnovers is not a good stat line for a team. Only shooting 38% from the field and 25% from 3. I think Garrigan will be able to outweigh Garner in this game a lot. I think they're going to be able to force turnovers. I do think they'll be able to get some fast break points and really just run the score up early, and get a good point margin between them and Garner. I'm going to take Garrigan in this game 65-41. I think Garrigan really will be able to outweigh Garner in this game. I think their offense will be able to put up a lot of points, and they'll be able to force a lot of turnovers. This game is also at Garrigan, so you've got the home court advantage. Staying comfortable at home. And I do think that they will win this one 65-41. Next game this Friday, we've got a rivalry matchup, Garrigan versus North Union. This first game is at North Union this time. We're going to look at North Union's last couple of games, see how they got to this point. They're 4-0 entering this game with wins 64-39 versus West Bend Mallard, 72-31 versus North Iowa, 51-13 at Estherville Lincoln Central, and finally their last win 61-50 versus West Hancock. They've had a couple of blowout games and a closer game versus West Hancock. We're going to look at some of their stats. Ansley Ulrich Jr. averaging 24.3 points per game, shooting 43% from the field and 37% from 3. Leader in rebounds for this team is junior Maisley Bearstead with 6.3 rebounds per game. And leader in assists is Shaylee Walders, a junior, with 4 assists to 3.7 turnovers. Union outweighing Garrigan in 3-point percentage, but Garrigan outweighing them in field goal percentage by 10. North Union does like to get a lot of steals. They have 56 on the season, but comparing that to Garrigan, they have 101. I think Garrigan will be able to force some turnovers here, and they'll really be able to. I think Garrigan, if they're able to force turnovers here, might have this game. Fast break points is really what we've seen a lot from Garrigan this year. It's what they do best. We've always done fast break points really, really well, and I do think that that will be a key factor in this game. I think North Union, like I said, with Garrigan versus Garner, Garner's going to have to lock down every player. North Union is going to have to do the same in this game. It's really, really hard to lock all 5 players down, as each player does something different. Each player is capable of scoring, and each player is super efficient on the floor. I do think that Garrigan will win this game, and I'm going to take them with a win 73-52. I think that Garrigan will just be able to put up a lot of points and really, again, just create that margin early between them and North Union. If they don't do it early, Garrigan will come out at halftime and really put the nail in the coffin. We've seen that with a couple of games. We saw it versus St. Ed's, and we've seen that style of play for Garrigan in their past couple of games. Even versus Valley being down 6 at halftime, they came out and tied it up really quickly. That is my final score prediction. Garrigan 73, North Union 52. Next, we're going to look at the guys' game versus North Union. They walk into this game 5-0. North Union's last 5 wins versus West Bend Mallard 61-42 wins. North Iowa 76-50. Estherville Lincoln Central 75-52. West Hancock 72-47. And Granada Huntley East Chain, a team I haven't heard of, 61-43. Leading stats for this North Union Warriors team: senior Cale Jones averaging 22.7 points per game, shooting 52% from the field and 47% from 3. Grayson Colgrove, a junior, averaging 12 rebounds per game, and leader in assists is Cale Jones again, with 8 assists to set 4.3 turnovers for a 1.8 assist to turnover ratio. Wow, lots of scoring from this North Union team. Having a player shooting 52% from the field and 47% from 3 is a really, really insane stat line. Looking at other stats, North Union doesn't seem to turn the ball over much more Doesn't seem to turn the ball over too much, only having 41 on the season. Seems to get a lot of steals, but not a whole lot of blocks. I think that Garrigan forcing turnovers in this game will be very efficient. Stopping Kel Jones is another really big factor to this game. Grayson Colgrove right behind him, averaging 17 per game. He will also be a big threat to stop. He also gets a lot of rebounds, so out-rebounding North Union will be a huge factor for Garrigan in this game. Overall, Cale Jones seems to really just do it all. He's second on rebounds, first in assists, and first in points. Locking down on him is their major objective. For North Union, I think stopping Michael Joyce is a really big thing for them. Also, being able to guard Amari Thomas down below is another huge thing for them. Garrigan has a lot of playmakers. You've also got Carter Schwab, who can shoot mid-rangers, kind of move the ball around, and overall is a really big asset to this team. All of these players are very good, and North Union will have to guard them all pretty equally and pretty efficiently. I think that this game is going to be very close, especially with the rivalry. It's at North Union, and I do think that this game will be a very, very fun one. So I just filmed the finale to my North Union predictions and the Algona predictions for both of these games. Then my storage went full, so I had to go clear that out, and then realized that none of the audio for the final score prediction for the guys, and then all of the Algona predictions, none of the audio was recorded as my mic died. I've got it plugged into a cable in my car. But yeah, so we are going to run back the prediction for the guys. We will be running with no mic, so I'm going to have to try to talk louder. I'm sorry if the audio is not as good. But I do think that the North Union guys game will be very fun. I do think it'll be very electric. I'm going to take Garrigan in this game 65-52. I think that Garrigan will be able to get a good win in this game, and I do think that they will be able to generate a lot of points and force a lot of turnovers. I don't think North Union will be able to stop the Garrigan guys, and I do think that they will walk out of North Union with a win this Friday. Next, we're going to look at the predictions for Garrigan versus Algona for your girls. Algona walks into this game 3-2 with a loss 48-45 versus Forest City, a win 64-20 versus Mason City, a win 67-23 versus Iowa Falls Alden, and a win 70-15 versus Charles City. Their final game from last week was a loss 46-42 versus Clear Lake. Algona doesn't get a lot of credit for how close some of these games really are. Forest City only losing by 3. Forest City is one of the top teams in 3A and in that class. Clear Lake is one of the best teams in 3A, and Algona is ranked number 15 in 3A. But just looking at their record, that doesn't show how close and how good they actually are. Algona losing Hayden Kuhlman to Spirit Lake last year. No one really expected a whole lot out of Algona, and here they are. Leader in points for Algona is junior Hayden McLaughlin, averaging 21 points per game, shooting 50% from the field and 37% from 3. Leader in rebounds is freshman Kate Limbaugh with 8.6 rebounds per game. And leader in assists is Taylor Van Otterloo, Jr. with 5.6 assists to 1.4 turnovers. I think Algona is going to... Looking at Algona as a whole, they have 59 turnovers so far on the year, which is not a great stat line, which is a lot more than Garrigan's 33. I think that Garrigan's keys to the game will be locking down on Hayden Kuhlman, on Hayden McLaughlin, and stopping Kate Limbaugh in the post. I think that if you can stop Kate Limbaugh in the post, I think that will be a huge factor for Garrigan. That'll be a huge factor and a big plus for Garrigan, as it eliminates their entire post presence. Hayden McLaughlin is the shooter that they have to watch out for in the mid-range and overall on the three-point line. I think keys for Algona will be stopping Gracelyn Eastman like usual, and overall just guarding Garrigan really efficiently on the wings with Seisha Alish and Emmy Bartolo, and then stopping those players like Madeline Tigas, who we've seen, when given the opportunity, can go off and really get a lot of great buckets. I think that this game will be defensive with a little more offensive than previous years, and I'm going to take Garrigan to win this one 65-55. I think that Garrigan will be able to pick up a 10-point victory here, and I do think that it will be one of their tougher games in regular season. It will be one of the more fun games in regular season, and I do think it'll be a good game. But Garrigan will be able to walk out with a 10-point victory. I think that overall, Garrigan will be able to, again, move the ball around, and I do think that even if it's tied going into halftime, Garrigan will come out of the second half and really step on it and really get that scoring margin widened, and that they will be able to pick up the win in this one. For our final prediction of the video, we are going to look at the guys versus Algona this Saturday as well. Algona walks into this game 2-0, only playing one game though. Mason City took a forfeit versus Algona, and their other win being versus Charles City 92-65. Looking at some stat lines for Algona, Jacob Burns is leading this team. Jacob Burns, a sophomore, leads his team in points per game with 10. Leader in rebounds is Landon Campe Jr. with 6 rebounds per game. And leader in assists is Evan Ale, a senior, with 3 assists to 8 turnovers. These stats don't really define Algona a whole lot as they've only played one game, so it is just the stats from the last game. Algona had 26 turnovers in the last game. That is half of what Garrigan has had all season, which could be the downfall of Algona in this game. I think Algona will try to come in prepared and ready, but I do not think it will be enough to stop Garrigan. I think lack of game experience will be a huge factor in this game for Algona, and I think a huge factor for Garrigan will just be stopping scorers all around. They have 3, compared to the one game they've played this season, they have 3 guys who are pretty close in points. Any of them seem to be able to score efficiently. Garrigan won the last one last year, and I do think that they're going to go back-to-back. I think they're going to win this one this year. I'm taking your Garrigan Bears 69-57. I think that Garrigan will be able to pick up a very solid win in this game, and I do think that they will be able to run up the score, force a lot of turnovers, and get that scoring margin really, really far apart. Garrigan will pick up a nice win in this game, and that will move them up in 1A. Beating a 3A school is always good for your record and for your standings. Give me your Garrigan Golden Bears 69-57. That is the end of this week's BG Game Preview episode. Make sure to like, subscribe, comment down below anything else you want to see from the channel if you agree with my predictions, or drop your own down there. More 3 and 30 content will be coming soon. Again, I'd just like to thank you for all the support on 3 and 30. It's one of my favorite parts of BG Game Preview. It seems to be your guys' favorite part as well, so thank you very much for all the support on it. Football outtakes video will be coming out this week. I promise I'm going to get it out. That is my goal for this week, as well as get 2 3 and 30s out and this video. This will conclude the video. This is Lucy Eisenbarth signing off on BG Game Preview.